Hello, it's Thursday, but I thought I wanted to give you an update today because I did get the ICASES project completed. And I wanted to update you on some ByAnnie stuff because I had emailed them regarding their tutorials, and then I got a reply back regarding that. Um, First, though, I will show you. I got my Wawak, W-A-W-A-K order. I got the home sewing needles, and it came like the next day with FedEx. And these are got jersey, different size quilting needles for the ones that I use for piecing and the ones that I use for quilting. And then I think I got a knit and some jeans. So this should keep me going for the rest of the year. Well, the rest of next year, I'm hoping. This should be enough for next year. And hopefully more left over. We'll see. But I got my needle supply. One of the other things I did was I ordered a set of yo-yo makers because I tried making them freehand and it wasn't going well. I had a large yo-yo maker, size large, that was in the Creative Notion Snowman kit. And I tried using that. It had worked. I ended up working okay. It ended up working okay for that. But then I watched some videos. Anyway, I was going through my scrap basket and I found some round black ones that I apparently had cut out to try and use for the yo-yo making of the snowman that I never did. So I decided to get out that yo-yo maker yesterday, and I made myself some yo-yos. So there were 4 round scraps in there. This is made with the large yo-yo maker. So I did those yesterday. I'm not exactly sure. The center parts are going to need work. They're just not exactly the way they're supposed to look, but it was, I guess I'm going to have to practice that. Plus, I was having trouble seeing it. I've got some double vision and no vision. Sometimes, like, if I cover this eye when I'm doing close up, I can see a little better with my old eye. But I'll look at it again when I have actually better vision. But this is the pouch pattern we got for one of the Bella Rose boxes. Had the pattern that this person actually was in one of their retreats. And anyway, I made this pattern, and this is fitting perfectly for my yo-yo maker. So this is going to be my yo-yo maker container. So I got a set of yo-yos on Amazon, the whole set, because I was watching Jean at Captain Stitches, and she was making some yo-yos, and she said she uses these Clover yo-yo makers, and they're just wonderful. So she has never steered me wrong, and she is a woman with a lot of experience. So since I was struggling, I decided to just get them. So I couldn't believe the different sizes. Look there's the jumbo size, and this is the actual size of what a yo-yo will be. Here is extra large with that. So this is the large. See the difference? Difference in size. And then there's a large, and that's this one. See, so that does make the right size. And then the small and the extra small. So I plan to make yo-yos. I'm going to make yo-yos. When? I don't know. It'll be a leisure time activity, perhaps. think I'll have to cut up some scraps that'll be just for yo-yos. Anyway, so that's my yo-yo bag now. I love it. I love this bag. Of course, it's purple. Got my sewing machine on it. So anyway, I got the yo-yos. Oh, this is the one from the, I have two that are size large now. Because I have the one from the Creative Notions kit. So let's see, what else? So yo-yos, needles. Okay, that's what I wanted to cover. The next thing is the ByAnnie ICASES 2.0. So I got this project done, the one that I'm making for my iPad, which I can't show you how it fits in there because I'm taping you on my iPad. So this was I got this project in the Renaissance Ribbons mini bag kit. And it costs $90.45. That includes the postage, and their mini kit comes every other month. So after this, so I got this one, and I'll be getting one more, and then and I'm getting another ditty bag that should be coming here probably by the end of the month, maybe. The ditty bag subscription, and then in January sometime I'll be getting another mega one. So that's what I'm expecting from Renaissance Ribbon. But anyway, so this is the Renaissance Ribbon, and the kit that they gave us had a lot of stuff in it. And according to their paperwork here, I think their plans were that you would be able to make the small one and the large one. I made the medium one because that's the one that will fit my iPad. So there's a lot. I think even if you made the small one and the large one, I think you would still have a lot of stuff left over. I can't tell you how much of the Soft and Stable is left over because I used what was left from the ditty bag, which I made a small and a medium ditty bag with the last kit, and I had pretty much Soft and Stable left from that, so I used up that, and then I went into the next bag of Soft and Stable. So they give you a lot of extra stuff for your projects in these bags. They are expensive, and you're getting top quality fabrics. It's Tula Pink that I got in this ICASES one, and then you get all the Renaissance Ribbon. So the Renaissance Ribbon was a total of 6 yards of Renaissance ribbons that were 5/8 inch wide. And then you got two 30-inch zippers. And I only used part of one of them for the medium bag. And then you got a 1/2 yard of Shape Flex, and you're only using a small piece, very small piece of Shape Flex. And then you get the hook and loop Velcro, basically, for the closure. And I still have lots of that left. And all together for the fabric, you got 2 2/3 yards of fabric. So that's what I got for $90.45. So that's with the shipping. Okay, so I'm including the shipping because I didn't break that out. Oh, also, I am also been doing the 30 minutes a day of scrap cutting. And I've been stopping pretty much at 30 minutes. When I get the 30 minutes in, I've been stopping. It goes, you really can go through a lot of your scraps just doing 30 minutes a day and stop. So this is what I have left from if you recall, my scrap basket was like this high. And I've just been doing 30 minutes a day. Because you don't know what's in here. So these are slightly larger. I had like really tiny odd shaped stuff when I was doing the yo-yos. Those got thrown in here, and those were weird shapes. I got 1.5 inch pieces out of those, and then odd sizes that are going into my crumb bag. So I will have more to go into my scrap basket from this ICASES project. So I'll be adding that later today. There was like, so when I was making my projects and stuff, I actually had some 5.5-inch squares that I had gotten out of my scrap stash that were apparently auditioned and failed. And I just had thrown them into my scrap basket. So those were easy. I just put those back into the 5.5-inch storage container, or 5-inch storage. It was 5-inch storage container. And then I think there were a couple of other pre-cut stuff that I had auditioned and never used. So I had thrown them, rather than putting them back, I had thrown them in the scrap basket. So those were, I was able to put those back in without having to cut. So, you know, it was, I guess I was feeling time pressure and just threw them in there instead of putting them back. But it makes it easy. It went through easier then. So moving on to the project. So here is the Velcro that I have left. There's a lot of Velcro in there. I had cut out the right size piece, which apparently it slipped behind my wool iron mat, and I only just found it last night. I was like, oh. And I even had the tag clipped to it that said what it was for and the dimensions and everything. But so they have it broken out into the soft and the sticky, you know, the harder one. So this is the piece of Velcro that I have left. So this is probably 2 feet. So that's what I have left for the Velcro. So that's still lots for another project. Let me roll that up and move on to the ribbon, what I have left for the ribbon. The thing is that the ByAnnie pattern is made not for specifically the Renaissance ribbon. So her instructions didn't tell you where she wanted to put them, where she would suggest putting the ribbons. So I just looked at the picture on here to see where they had put the ribbons, and pretty much that's what I did. Here's what I have left. Since there was 2 yards, there's a lot of this rabbit ribbon left. Yeah, there was two yards of this, so there's still a lot of that left. I didn't use much. I don't think I used any of this. And for this one, I used, I think, the most of this one, but there's still a lot of this left. So that's the ribbon that's left that can be used in other projects. So I still have lots of that. I decided to change out their fabrics. I used some of their fabrics, but I changed it out to some of my fabrics because I wanted to add purple. So these are the fabrics that I have. I'm gonna have to absorb these back into my stash, or if they're small, I'm gonna have to put them in my scrap basket and work that. So that's gonna be something to do later today. And then this is what's left from what I got in my box. This is the Shape Flex. There's still a lot of Shape Flex left because I only used one strip, and this is the leftovers from that one strip. So this is fusible on one side. So that, and it's woven fusible. So that's still left. And this is the rabbit fabric. This is the scrap. I'm going to be cutting this up for, that piece is big enough to be put in my scrap basket. It'll probably, I don't think if it's not 8 inches, then it'll go into 5-inch blocks. And this is the other piece. And this will probably just go on my shelf because it's pretty big width of fabric piece. That's with the Tula Pink rabbit. So that's going to go back on my shelf to be used at some point in the future. This piece, I only used a piece this wide of this, and you won't even see hardly. There's only a tiny little piece of it that you see. I wouldn't have even had to use this. Lesson learned, because I wasn't sure what I was going to be dealing with this pattern. And then this is the rest of that. So there's still a lot of this left, and this will be going back on my shelf, or getting added to my shelf. So actually, you know what? I don't have these color greens. So this will be nice to have this added to my stash, because it's a green I would never have bought. There's another piece of scrap. I used this for the lining, so I used the most of this. And this is what's left of that piece. So that's what I used the most of. And then I didn't use any of this. None whatsoever. So this will just go into my stash. So you see. So that was, I have a nice yellow. So that's going into my stash. I did not use any of that. So that's the leftover fabrics. There's actually leftover zipper too. Nope, this is the other zippers. I don't know. I still have, oh, here it is. This is the leftover, zipper piece with a pull still, from the 30 inches. And then I still have the 30-inch zipper that I never even opened. So I still have that available. All right, moving on to the final project. All right, here we go. So this was my fabric. This was my fabric, the binding. I used the ribbon and that ribbon and the rabbit ribbon. So for the ribbon, for this ribbon, I decided, I know it's yellow. This is what is supposed to be, right? But I thought the back side was like more my style. So instead of using it this way, I used it this way. I liked that better. So I guess I used the most of this ribbon here. But so I decided to add this ribbon down here on the front, to like kind of make it like I don't know, to even it out. And got my name on there, but these are more my colors than the greens. Now I could have done a better job. I did them. I sewed the binding on the back and then folded it over on here. The binding is 2 1/4 inches, and I think it was tight. I think I would just do a 2.5 inch binding on here because it's so thick. I really had to pull and struggle to get it. And after I get my site back, I might take this out and resew it. Because I was having a hard time seeing additionally. So this is the front. And this has got some depth. You're putting a dart down in here. So you have some depth for your laptop, computer, your iPad. And then this is the back. This is where I centered the rabbit on the back pocket. And I decided to use this green zipper. I just thought that it matched it so beautifully. So when I opened the zipper, that's what the lining. This is like, you know, the regular, this was the front, but is now the lining. And this was what I was using for the lining for the rest of it. And then the zipper pull was made here. That was a 12-inch strip made into that. And then it closes with Velcro. So here we go. And you use a template to get this curve in here. And there. And you could, the instructions she said are written for not quilting it. So you can make this with just having, you know, the soft and stable and the top and bottom fabric, and not do the quilting. But I have to do the quilting. I love the quilting. I just think the quilting makes everything better. And that is the inside. So it's all finished because all the raw edges are on the outside. And it was pretty simple, actually, once you figure. So now that I know how it's all put together, it's pretty simple. However, whenever I make something, I want to see a video, if I can, to go along with the written instructions, just to make sure that I'm doing the right steps at the right time. So I had troubles. The video at first was, there was no sound. So I sent them an email and they added the sound. So when I was finishing this last night, I decided to go back in and look at the last step over again, just to make sure I was doing it right. And again, there was no sound. So I don't know what the problem is with their videos. All right, one of the other things was we rounded the corners on these. This didn't require a rounded corner because you're making that dart, which rounded it. But the back side had to have a rounded corner. I think this was, they considered this 1.5 inches, and this was a 2-inch rounded corner. So I have the templates, which were in the pattern, that I had cut out, which were here. Then I got this handy dandy tool a Creative Grids tool, which is to be used for multi-sized curved corner cutter, is what it's called. And this over here is for a 3-inch curve. This was for a 1.5-inch curve. And this is for a 2-inch curve. So, and the nice thing about this is that let's see, here's the 2-inch curve for this. You're able to line up the flat side of this ruler on either side here. So the material was sticking out here, but you can line up the flat side of the ruler with your fabric and get a really good curve, correct curve, and then do the same on the other side. Whereas the circle, I was putting the circle on, but I wasn't feeling good about like all the edges being the same. So you're using that, but it just didn't feel accurate. Like, you know, like, how am I doing this? And anyway, I love this new tool that I got, the Creative Grids multi-size curved corner cutter. Highly recommend it. I just use it. This is the first time I used it on this project, and I thought it worked fabulous. And even though this says 2-inch, that this was a 2-inch corner and this called for a 2.5-inch, it seemed the same to me. I mean, it worked out. I mean, that looks fine. I like it. So I did that. Then when I quilt, they tell you to make the size if you're going to quilt it yourself, they want you to add 1 inch to all sides of the fabric and the batting, and then quilt it, and then cut out the size for the piece that you're going to be making. So, of course, then there's leftover strips of quilted fabric. So I had leftover strips of quilted fabric and I can't throw away. So I made myself a little mug rat. A mug, not rat, mug mat. So these were leftover strips. I took some of my purple and made, I actually did a 2¼ inch binding for this. And then that was the lining, and then this was, so if you can see the rabbit, and the lining, the other side of the rabbit was this. And this fabric and this fabric had that green lining on it. So anyway, this was my bonus project, and I used this to make the rounded corners on this, and it was so wonderful. I'm so happy with this. I love it. This is me. Oh, I love it. So anyway, these are my finished projects. My finished eye case and my finished mug mat. I can also, it's long enough so I can put my little plate with my piece of cake or cookies on it. So I like it. I love it. This has been on my list of things I wanted to make. I wanted to make a case for my iPad for when I'm traveling. I've had it for a couple years on my list of projects, but I had not seen any. I didn't know I could make it a pattern up myself, but I was kind of waiting for a pattern, and you know, this was miraculous. This is what came, and this is exactly what I needed. So this was the ByAnnie. Now, before I go, I wanted to share with you what I had gotten, and I told them that I was going to be sharing this with you, because I had written to them and told them that I'm loving the finished product with their patterns. However, I find that my brain works better when I can watch a tutorial for a pattern from start to finish, and not search for different parts of how to do a pattern that maybe aren't specific to that pattern. Are there any plans in the works to do tutorials for patterns from start to finish for each pattern? And I heard feedback from all of you, so I said from other sewists who have wished for this too. So I sent that email, and this is the reply that I got the same day. They react very fast for any issues you have. So hello, Liz. Thanks for your interest in our patterns and tutorials. While we do not offer a full tutorial for the majority of our patterns at this time, the add-on videos do show the more unique or challenging parts of the project. Most of the rest of the steps are covered in our free ByAnnie Basics course, which you can find here. And there was a link to the ByAnnie Basics course for their website, and you can find that on ByAnnie with slides /89. You'll need to log in and then click on Join this course to access this free content. We don't cover all the steps in every add-on video. The reason for this is that many of our patterns share the same techniques, and we felt having videos of those steps would become very repetitive. Instead, we recommended that all makers complete the ByAnnie Basics so that they can become familiar with the techniques and terminologies that are used in most of our patterns. That said, after listening to customer feedback, we have decided that, going forward, we would create step-by-step add-on videos. We have already started to implement this plan with our newest patterns: Leader of the Pack, Two Little Totes, Pint-Sized Pals, which they have in parentheses jump starters, Fidget Toys, which is jump starters, Tidy Time, another parentheses jump starters, Focal Point, Foldy Locks, Snappy Sleeves, and QE Bella Quilt Coat. We hope this explanation makes sense and that you understand our position. Please let us know if we can help with anything else. Happy stitching. ByAnnie. So I think that was very promising. So the older patterns are still going to be piecemealed. And I guess I need to go watch the ByAnnie Basics course, since I went through all of my patterns and pulled out the ones that are ByAnnie and saw that I had codes in there for these add-on videos. So I spent quite a while online adding those to my account, so that now when I decide, I haven't made any of those patterns, and I want to. So I have those now all added into my account there. Use the code before it gets lost or invalid, which was another thing I was afraid of because it's one-time use. But anyway, they all worked, and I got them all added to my account, and they are all waiting for me. So I used this, and what I will note is that there's like a whole bunch of videos that are like, there was 5 or 6 videos that really had nothing to do with this pattern. It was more like it maybe gave an overview of what this pattern was, but it with no instructions. And some other patterns that you might be interested in. It's pretty much sales pitch stuff. And there was actually only 3 videos, the last 3 videos that were specific. I think it said something about specific or something. Those were the actual tutorials for this pattern. So just be aware of that when you're going in there. If you don't want to go listen through all those other videos, you might just want to head right down to the specifics for the pattern that you're working on. But I haven't gone to any of these other, well, I wouldn't know because I would have to get the add-on video. I'd have to get this pattern to see what the add-on video is, and I don't have any of these. So anyway, we'll see. But it's good news. So for any of you who were thinking of not buying the ByAnnie patterns because the tutorials were not what you are expecting, be aware that they are making changes, and for the new patterns coming out, and I figured their written instructions are good. I think I could have figured out everything with the written instructions. I just wanted to reassure myself that I was doing it right by looking at the video. So I'm still confused by the directional stuff though for this. That's why the rabbit is on the back pocket, because I knew the placement for that. I knew this pocket was going to be put like this, and that I needed, but this one was like, the way it was explained about placing the pieces, like she was, how this needed to be placed if you wanted to have a directional fabric up here. And then she said you didn't need to worry about it being upside down for the bottom half because the pocket would be over it. Anyway, I was just confused. I was just getting confused. So I decided, all right, this front needed to be non-directional, period. And then I had the directional rabbit on the back for the back pocket. Anyway, he wouldn't have fit very well. I could have got part of his face, I guess, and his here, but it would have been tight, and I would have had to cut off more of him than that. Worked good for the back pocket. Yeah. So let me know what you think. That's my video. It's kind of long today. The next thing that I'm going to be working on is cutting out my November UFO, which was Morning Glories. That's this one. I'm going to start working on cutting out the pieces for that. That's my next project. Let me know what you're working on. All right. And have a great weekend. All right. Bye.